Welcome to the Investors Chair podcast with Ivyn Sambo. Explore investing, saving, and budgeting in South Africa. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to the Investors Chair podcast with myself, Ivyn Sambo. The conversation we're having today rotates around shares of Sasol. I have been loving Sasol shares for the longest time, and you guys know that because I have been talking about them for the longest period of time. But I made a decision after reviewing everything that I don't believe Sasol shares are a good long-term investment. But I personally believe they're a good short-term investment. When I talk about long-term, I'm talking about 5 years and above. When I talk about short-term, I'm talking about 5 years and below. And the reason why I believe this, I will cover it in detail, both for why good for short-term and why bad for long-term. But before I get into that, when I had this conversation with one of my online friends and follower, he brought the price up, the performance of Sasol shares in the last 6 months. I want to share those performance with you guys, right? Currently, one share of Sasol costs around 100 Rand in the JSE. That's just one share of Sasol in the JSE. In the last seven days, guys, Sasol shares have seen an increase of around 16.45%. That's just 7 days. In the last 30 days, they've seen an increase of around 12.13%. In the last 90 days, meaning 3 months, they've seen an increase of around 38.12%. In the last 6 months, they've seen an increase of around 23.28%. And my friend was like, Ivyn, you're looking at this good performance, how Sasol is performing, and Sasol has now reached a 100 Rand per share benchmark. Why do you believe this will not last for the long-term investor? And let me get into it, guys. Sasol is a great company. But when you look into their losses, guys, in the last few months, Sasol has been going through a lot in the media, which I will not cover here. You can go look it up yourself. But I have a few issues. Number one, Sasol has the highest debt load that I have seen in a while in a company. Sasol currently has a total debt of around 116.9 billion Rand. That's just debt that Sasol has. Not only that, guys, but Sasol is failing to manage their cash flow. Not only that, guys, when you look into their return on equity, because if you are a long-term investor, the one thing you have to look into is the debt, the financial management of the company, look into their cash flow, and look into their return on equity. Their ROE ratio right now, guys, is sitting at around minus 27.46%, which suggests that shareholders' value is being eroded. As a shareholder, your value is being eroded in this company. The debt, the poor cash flow management as well. Not only that, guys, but when you look at the share price, over the past 3 years, Sasol share price has plummeted by nearly 70% of what it actually was, as in the last 3 years. And also, in the last 12 months, it has plummeted by nearly 34.83%. You cannot look in the last 6 months alone and look at the good performance and say this will continue for the next 12 months. Because I believe the past show more of the future than the short-term thing we are looking at right now. Not only that, guys, but environmental and regulatory problems that Sasol is having, right? Our Sasol fossil fuel portfolio is facing a lot of regulatory recommendation of how they are poorly managing it, especially from a climate and environmental point of view. Not only that, guys, but also if you're a long-term investor into a company wanting to buy their shares, another thing you must look into is the assets that the company has. Leading into the environmental and regulatory issues I'm going to, right? You must look into the asset they have. Sasol, out of all the companies I know in the JSE, Sasol has the most aging infrastructure and assets of any company in the JSE, and seem to be no drive, no backbone or proactiveness from the management and leadership of Sasol to want to correct the issue of aging assets, aging infrastructure they have. Guys, we see this, especially for us who live in South Africa, around Sasol infrastructures, around Sasol plants. We see this. Sasol infrastructure is aging, but there's no proactiveness from management to try to remedy that. And if you are investing into a company for long term, aging infrastructure should be worrying you. And if you remember, when there's aging infrastructure, it means that Sasol will fail to comply with environmental regulation, climate regulation. And that will come back and bite them, because when they cannot comply with environmental regulation, climate change regulation, government, not only in South Africa, but throughout the other parts of the world they operate in, will come back and penalize Sasol for failing to comply with environmental regulation and climate change regulation. And that will impact the finances of Sasol. And if you're a long-term investor, that should be worrying to you. I feel like I'm preaching. So that's why, for me, if I don't see any proactiveness from the management to want to fix the aging infrastructure, the impact of environmental regulation, the impact of the return on equity, the impact of their debt and poor cash flow management, the impact of aging assets, I don't think in the next 5 years Sasol will be the Sasol we know. I don't think it will be. Not only that, but the chaos they created in the American project they were having. Go Google Sasol Dam in the USA. Go Google that. Their operation in other parts of the world. There seems to be no proactive professional reaction to that. And why must there be a reaction? Why can't they be proactive? The management of Sasol. Why can't they be? Those 4 or 5 points I just raised right now, for me, tell me that as much in the last 6 months, you are seeing this growth, you're seeing this profits, you're seeing this share price going up in Sasol. Yes, it's good. But after 5 years, will it still be there? Or will you be breathing through the wound? And also, you can't just say after 5 years. What if it comes to hurt them in the next 3 years, in the next 2 years, and you lose the value of your investment? I'm not sure if I'm making sense in my analysis of this issue, right? But let's pause the bad things aside. My personal opinion on why shares of Sasol are a huge problem for long-term investment. Let's look into the good side. Why I personally also believe for short-term investment, they are good. Because I do believe that, right? Number one, strong price momentum. As I said, in the last 6 months, the price momentum has been good. And I see it continuing for the next 3-4 months as well. Past the next 8 months, I see the price momentum going up for the next, until maximum, let's just say maximum 12 months. I see it being good, right? Because we've seen that the last 30 days, share price up. Last 90 days, share price going up. 6 months, share price going up. But after 12 months, we may be shaking them. That's one good reason why it's a good long-term investment. High free cash, operational restriction, right? Recent geopolitical issues have restricted a lot of companies to operating freely. But Sasol, because the war in Ukraine, the Middle East war, and everything that's happening there, Sasol has not been hugely impacted by it. And I personally believe it has worked in the favor of Sasol, has worked on the side of Sasol. And I believe those tensions in Ukraine continue the way they are. Israel, Iran war continue the way it is. Or the tension continue the way they are. I see Sasol continue the momentum they are having right now, right? Short-term investment growth. Sasol short-term investment grew by 90% year on year, right? Reaching 3.5 billion rand, which is good. And the liquidity management has been improved as well, which is good. I agree with that. And I see this having a huge impact in the next 12 months, in the next 2 years, right? As well, guys, as moderate volatility for trading. It's working for them as well. But I cannot also keep on speaking good on a company that I don't think makes sense for long-term investment. And I preach about long-term investment. I don't preach about short-term, because I believe when you're short-term, you are in the short-term investment space, you're actually trading. You're not investing, you're trading. So for me personally, as someone who wants to invest for long-term, I'm like, no, Sasol is not it. It's not getting their house in order. It's not fixing their thing. Management is it's not being proactive. It's being not even reacting. They're not even reacting. They're not proactive. They're not reacting. They just continue the norm of what we know Sasol to be. And then I think I'm not talking about norm. What has been innovative that has been done by Sasol in the last 5 years? In the last 3 years? In the last 2 years? I was watching a webinar about BP, right? BP is integrating AI into their operation. They are looking into integrating, they're not actually doing it. They are looking into integrating AI into their operation. I was watching, I think it was on YouTube. And I was like, when last did you hear such from Sasol? When last did you hear Sasol coming up with an innovative new strategy? Guys, let's have a normal conversation here. For me personally, I will not be looking at Sasol as long-term investment. I'll be looking at Sasol as short-term investment. That's my personal opinion on this matter. But guys, let me know what you think about my point of view. Am I correct? Am I incorrect? What do you think? And as always, guys, do remember this is the Investors Chair podcast, and my job is to criticize. And I think we need more people who criticize companies in the JSE than trying to suck up to them, because a lot of analysts in South Africa are sucking up to these companies. And Sasol has been one company that we have been sucking up to for the longest time, especially for us as retail investors. We have been sucking up to Sasol. We've been buying shares of Sasol without criticizing it, without giving our opinion on how they are behaving, how the leadership is a bunch of reactors, not a bunch of proactive leaders. Yes, they are more qualified than me. I'm just a guy with an LLB degree and a researcher by profession. I'm not a PhD, master's in accounting or whatever it is. I'm not. But as a random guy that puts my 100 rand into Sasol, I believe I have a right to say, Sasol, what you're doing here is stuck. And what you're doing now is stuck. Let's call it what it is. The aging infrastructure, the debts they have, the poor cash flow management, right? The project that they had in the USA, their operations in South Africa, dear Lord, let's get started into there. Corruption into Sasol. There's also an issue of corruption into Sasol. Allegation of corruption into Sasol. Let me put it like the allegation of corruption into Sasol. We know people are, and the way this issue is so much worrying to me. We know people on a normal basis, like not even talk a huge higher level leadership, right? Especially I'm from Mpumalanga. I talk to a lot of people that work for Sasol. Now I'm in Gauteng. I talk to a lot of people that work for Sasol. And we do know there's internal corruption in Sasol. There's allegation of internal corruption in Sasol. Especially in the lower level. Because I speak to people at the lower level. Bursary schemes that Sasol is offering, some of them, apparently there's corruption even there. So you think that corruption will not scale up? The allegations of corruption will scale up? And I'm saying, this is my own personal opinion. That's not proven in facts. Some of it not proven facts. Okay, obviously, the debt, the poor management, the aging infrastructure, those are facts. But I'm saying the allegation I'm saying at the end now is just my own information I'm just putting out there, which is not proven in facts. But it gives me enough confidence to be worried in terms of long-term investments. So that's my 2 cents on this matter, guys. Let me know what you think about it. Until next time, guys, please do ensure nothing I say please be sure that nothing I say constitutes financial advice, but only for educational purposes. And also, please do ensure you like, subscribe, and follow. Until next time, guys, happy investing.